a Florida creek, a grill, a fire, and somewhere in the water, an alligator that clearly didn't sign up to be part of anyone's stream. That's the setup behind the clip everyone's been passing around this week, involving rapper Saucy Santana and streamer Deshae Frost. And it's the kind of thing that sounds made up until you actually watch it happen. Frost posted the footage on July 22nd, pulled from a live stream he'd done with Santana out camping. The video opens normally enough.
Saucy! Catch me! Yes! Oh my God!
4 minutes in, Frost tells whoever's watching that they're about to head down to the creek, grab some food, maybe catch a fish for dinner. 2 of them, setting up the grill, getting a fire going, doing the exact kind of low-key outdoor content people expect from a camping stream. Nothing about it screams, "This is about to be a headline." Then Santana decides he's going to teach Frost how to catch an alligator, not fish, not build a fire properly. An alligator, on camera, in real time, with zero warning to anyone watching that the stream was about to shift from relaxed grill session to full survival mode. Frost wades into the water first. Santana tells him to stay quiet, pointing towards something in the creek. "Okay, now look. Pay attention," he says, motioning for Frost to look closer. "You see that alligator? When it get close, we finna get out the water, okay?" Frost laughs it off, the way you would if a friend suddenly got serious about something that felt like a bit 2 seconds earlier. Santana isn't laughing, though. He tells him this isn't the time for jokes and instructs him to watch the ripples moving across the surface. That's when both of them spot bubbles rising in the water. Anyone who spent time near alligators knows what that means. It's not a good sign, and it's definitely not something either of them wanted to confirm through experience. Within seconds, the lesson is over, and what follows is exactly what you'd expect from 2 people who realize they might have pushed their luck little too far. They get out of that water fast, no hesitation, no second thoughts, just pure instinct kicking in. The moment the calm confidence from 30 seconds earlier evaporated completely. Florida creeks like this one are exactly the kind of environment where alligators sit low in the water, mostly submerged, watching before doing anything else. Bubbles breaking the surface usually mean movement underneath, something shifting position, which is precisely why guides and wildlife officers tell people to leave calm water the second they notice that pattern, rather than waiting to actually see the animal move. Santana clearly knew enough to recognize the warning sign, even if his opening pitch, "Let me show you how to catch one," undercut the seriousness of it. That contradiction, knowing enough to be cautious but still waiting in close enough to give a lesson, is basically the whole clip in miniature. Biology reminds you who's actually in charge of that water, and no amount of hip-hop swagger or streamer bravado changes that math once bubbles start breaking the surface. What makes the clip land the way it does isn't really the alligator itself. Plenty of wildlife clips exist online, and most of them don't travel the way this one has. It's the whiplash. One moment Santana's playing the confident expert, walking Frost through what to watch for, like he's done this 100 times. The next moment, that same confidence disappears entirely, replaced by 2 grown men sprinting toward dry land because the water just told them something neither of them wanted to hear. Nobody scripts that kind of tonal flip on purpose because it wouldn't feel real if they tried. It works here specifically because nothing about it was planned. There's a version of this clip that gets forwarded around because it's dramatic, and there's a version that gets forwarded around because it's funny, and this one somehow manages to be both without picking a side. Watch it once, and the instinct is to focus on how close it might have gotten. Watch it a second time, and the instinct shifts entirely toward how ridiculous both of them looked, sprinting through shallow water, like the ground itself was on fire, arms flailing, no dignity left to protect at that point. Most clips settle into one lane or the other. This one keeps flipping between the two depending on which second you're watching, and that's a big part of why people keep rewatching it instead of moving on after the first viewing. and nobody got hurt, which matters more than people might think. There's no bite, no fall, no actual injury caught on camera, just two people getting legitimately spooked and reacting the way any reasonable person would. That's really the sweet spot for a clip like this to spread the way it has. Enough danger to make you sit up and pay attention, but a clean enough ending that everyone watching gets to laugh about it immediately afterward, instead of feeling genuinely shaken. A near miss plays differently than an actual accident, and audiences know the difference instinctively. If you're catching up on either of these two for the first time, a little background helps explain why this particular pairing blew up the way it did. Santana didn't start out as a rapper. Before any of the music, he was working as a makeup artist for the City Girls, and it wasn't until February 2019 that he released his debut single, Walk 'Em Like a Dog, and started building a career of his own in hip-hop and pop rap. Along the way, he became a familiar face on Love and Hip Hop Miami, later showing up on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta as well. He's never really been someone who avoids a camera, whether it's a music video, a reality TV segment, or apparently a random creek in the middle of a camping trip. That comfort with unscripted chaos is basically his whole brand at this point. And this Alligator moment fits that reputation perfectly. This also isn't even Santana's first headline of the month. Just weeks earlier, he made news for sneaking onto the Streamer University campus alongside Lizzo, a moment that Kai Cenat publicly called out at the time. Two separate incidents, two completely different settings, and yet both times Santana ended up at the center of something nobody could have predicted going in. That's a specific kind of pull some public figures have. It's not about manufacturing a moment for engagement. It's about somehow always being present when something unscripted and worth talking about happens anyway. There's also something to be said about how naturally Santana moves between his music career and this kind of chaotic, internet-first content, without either side of it undercutting the other. Plenty of artists try to keep a tight separation between the persona in their music and whatever version of themselves shows up in a random live stream, worried that one might make the other look less serious. Santana doesn't seem to operate that way at all. The same energy that carried him through Love and Hip Hop appearances and pop rap singles is the same energy standing in that creek, trying to give Frost a lesson on alligator behavior. It's consistent, which is probably why fans don't treat this as some strange departure from who he normally is. It's just Santana being Santana, except this time the backdrop happened to include a genuine predator instead of a reality TV set. Deshae Frost, meanwhile, built his following through live streaming and IRL content, the kind of format built entirely around bringing an audience into real, unpredictable moments as they happen. Camping trips, collaborations with other creators, grabbing food from a creek on a whim, his channel is known for. And that's really the trade-off with this kind of streaming. When you invite your audience into unstructured real-world settings instead of a controlled studio, you're accepting that literally anything can happen, including, apparently, an alligator encounter you didn't plan for. Most of the time, that unpredictability results in a few funny exchanges or a mildly interesting evening. Every once in a while, it results in exactly this. His channel is known for, and that's really the trade-off with this kind of streaming. When you invite your audience into unstructured, real-world settings instead of a controlled studio, you're accepting that literally anything can happen, including, apparently, an alligator encounter you didn't plan for. Most of the time, that unpredictability results in a few funny exchanges or a mildly interesting evening. Every once in a while, it results in exactly this. The stream itself ran 43 minutes according to the footage Frost uploaded, and the alligator sequence only takes up a small fraction of that runtime. Most of it is exactly what a camping trip with friends actually looks like. Setting up gear, cooking, talking about nothing in particular. That's worth pointing out because it shows how little warning there was. This wasn't a stream billed as a wildlife encounter or a dare-based challenge stream where danger is baked into the premise from the start. It was a quiet hangout that happened to be filmed near water that had alligators in it, and the moment arrived without anyone building toward it on purpose. Put those two together. A rapper known for stumbling into headline moments and a streamer whose whole platform is built on capturing exactly this kind of unscripted reality. And it makes sense why the clip spread the way it did. Neither of them had to force anything. The creek did the work for them. There's also something worth noting about why footage like this outperforms almost anything scripted or produced. Nobody watching that stream in real time expected a genuine wildlife scare. People tune into camping streams for background noise, casual banter, maybe a few laughs. What they got instead was an actual moment of real tension, followed by an equally real scramble to safety. And that kind of surprise doesn't need editing or a punchline to land. Reality already delivered the twist. It's also just deeply relatable in a way scripted content rarely manages. Almost everyone's had a version of this same experience, walking into a situation feeling completely in control, only to realize seconds later that they had no idea what they were dealing with. Watching two public figures live through that exact same universal feeling, unfiltered and in real time, is funny precisely because it could happen to literally anyone standing in that same spot. There's a reason people keep sending this specific clip to friends instead of just liking it and scrolling past, and it comes down to how easy it is to imagine yourself in either role. Maybe you're the friend who insists they know exactly what they're doing right up until the evidence says otherwise. Maybe you're the one going along with it, laughing at first, only to realize a few seconds later that the laughing was premature. Either way, the clip works as a mirror before it works as entertainment, which is usually the difference between something that gets a quick laugh and something that